helping me. Alex, thank you. It must be your hand. Superb. Very good. Okay, Mark is sending his apologies. He cannot join us today. He's got a meeting outside of the office, so he was not able to join us today. Meeting will be definitely dedicated towards the vaccination updates and everything what makes us tick in ship management industry, but also very topical IMT, Exxon, and vetting as requested by members. So I'm delighted that we were able to organize that. Okay, moving on to my agenda. So meeting call to order. Yes, it's 10:01. We're starting. Update from the president. Intermanager position on shore leaves. We had a very good, very successful meeting last week. Thank you very much for those who attended. As a result, I prepared a position letter and I sent it to everybody, and I have received no further comments. Therefore, I believe that our position on shore leaves and vaccination stands as we have created it and discussed. Okay, Michael is joining now. That's good. Sigh of relief. Which means we might be in different position as members of InterManager who would like to adopt the position of InterManager from those from InterTanko, BIMCO, and the others. Not that our position is very, very different, probably not at all. We might be somebody because, yeah, thank you, because there was a feedback. So we might be different in details, but I think consensus is that we have to progress with shore leaves very, very carefully. Whenever it's possible, allow that, but otherwise, our position InterManager is we have to be very slow with that yet, and review and review and review. As far as vaccination of seafarers is concerned, I think we are all speaking the same language and same voice. There is no doubt about that. We are all on the same page here. I'm not going to go into details because these were sent to you now twice and no further comments received. Therefore, I believe this is now agreed as it stands. Oh, Henrik put the hand up. Yes, Henrik, go ahead.
Hello. I just want to make a comment to this with the shore leave here, because I think we are. I actually had a comment to. I sent a comment back to you, Kuba, because I was not in the meeting. I could not attend the meeting, unfortunately, last week, and I saw it on the video after. Yeah. And maybe when you see a little bit of distance, the heat of the excitement being agreeing on things was overtaking a little bit there. And when I was looking at this, at first I also fully agreed we should not do the crew changes because the shore leave because it's risky. But then I was thinking about it, and you were sounding, or we were sounding then like the authorities in Singapore. Yeah, let us stop all crew changes because there is a small risk. Yeah. And I think if we, let's say we have a ship, they need to be a little bit more flexible, of course. And I understand also fully this risk assessment is inconvenient because it opens a lot of interpretations and it takes some time to administrate it. Yeah? But can we really say, like the Singaporeans are doing, that like the other port authorities, the Australians are doing, there is a small risk, we close for everybody. So the ship comes to a port, like my example, I see it in Hamburg. Yeah, there's a low infection rates were low, at least a week ago, they're still low. Everything is open, people are dancing in the discotheques at night time. And our crew members who has been on board for 6 months cannot go ashore to buy a new shirt. What is this? I think we have to be a little bit careful with that. This is just my 2 cents. Thank you.
No, and Hendrik, very important 2 cents. And I think just going forward with that and discussion, maybe last week, or maybe I was talking to Mark before the meeting. There was too many meetings in my head, so I don't know what was really said at which meeting. But the important thing is, and Mark was very clear in my opinion, I was really pleased to hear that we, ship managers and crew managers, have to be responsible for our decisions. So, Henrik, if you tell your guys it is free to go and it's clear to go ashore, then do not blame them for contracting COVID, because it was our decision, we decided, and now if we contracted COVID, we are in this game together. You cannot go back and say, oh, you stupid master, we told you not to do this, and then you look what happened, we have to quarantine vessel for 2 weeks and so on and so forth. So maybe Mark didn't use this as strongly, but he definitely used the word We have to be responsible for our decisions. And I was pleading to all of us not to give guidelines which are very difficult for people in the shopping floor on board of a ship to actually execute. Because everybody says, like our moms used to say, oh, be careful, be careful. Yes, everybody is extremely careful. Our guys on board are extremely careful. They are on board because we've chosen them. We gave them jobs. We gave them, they went through everything we needed for them to go through. So let's trust these guys. But if the decision is made, we do risk assessment and it looks good, then we go for it.
But yeah, I think you have to, I would suggest that you just soften it a little bit and add to it. The situation is developing all the time and with the vaccine. And maybe I was also thinking we can push the seafarer to be vaccinated by adding to their soon or something like soon vaccinated seafarers will be able to go ashore or something like this. I just suggest to soften it a little bit and open the door so it is not. Because if you put this this is our policy, we put this in front of our seafarers, we will have a feedback, and rightly from seafarers, they sit between two ports where the infections are low. What there? Yeah. So we have to have a little bit, you are fully right, we have to be responsible, we have to be carefully, but we need a small door there to where it can be softened in certain cases, I think.
Aye, sir. And you're not the only one who says that, to be perfectly honest. I agree with you. Agree.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Moving on. I think we need to congratulate each other. Last week was amazing for me. And there was a member of ours who had a problem with the Chinese seafarer in Panama. Despite the fact that IMO, ILO, everybody is talking about key workers, blah, 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 blah. Sorry for that. I know I'm being recorded, but this is all big bullshit. And the problem was, then when we really needed this poor Chinese man to go to China from Panama, everybody was conspiring against him. I put the cry out to all of you, and immediately I had 4 responses. Then yes, we can do it. And you know what? Today, Vikrant sent me a message only 10 minutes ago. This guy is in Amsterdam now. He has been cleared. He's got negative tests. He is boarding in maybe now as I speak. And this is amazing because if you think about it, one competitor helped the other competitor to get him out of a pickle. So are we really competitors when it comes to crew changes? Absolutely not. We are all in the same game. And if I could persuade others, and I don't mean InterManager, I mean Phil is on the call here. Phil usually Intertanko is very, very helpful. Not usually, always is. If we could now expand, and not only within InterManager, but also, actually, I had a call from BIMCO, which was superb. They were happy to help as well. So work together and have more safe and positive outcomes like we did last week, which ended up today. We need to pull together resources and ideas, I suppose. So from me, Secretary General of your organization, thank you. Big thank you for all of you who were brave enough to ask for help, and also those of you who immediately made your resources available. And it was, as Vikrant actually made a comment, it was funny because we were helping from the Isle of Man 2 companies which are probably 300 yards away from each other from Hong Kong. But that's the beauty of associations. Either it is Intertanko, Intercargo, BIMCO, or InterManager. Then we pull people together and enable things. So thank you from me. We've got a new member, and they are not on a call today, I'm afraid. They are in Singapore, and they are called Standard P&I Club. And I'm delighted because we are getting into the P&I clubs more and more nowadays. We've been working with Standard P&I Club before they were our member, and that's usually on the safety issues. They were great sponsoring one of our projects. If you remember, Enclosed Spaces, Standard was one of the sponsors, and so on and so forth. So I'm delighted to have them with us, especially then there is so much we can do together in the areas where members of InterManager are so interested. All from me. I'm just pausing for a second to see any yellow hands. Is there anybody who wants to argue with me, contradict me? Okay, all pats on the back. Thank you very much. Moving on, it's 10 past 10. We are ahead of our schedule, which I'm very pleased because we've got a very good, interesting topic today. And we've got a guest speaker, Mike Forrester, from Exxon, from IMT. Mike, could you unmute yourself and show your face? So I see that you are on a call indeed.
Yeah,
okay.
Here you go. Might not be the face that you're looking for, Kuba, but yeah, here we go.
Mike, you don't know the stress of the organizer when you've got a guest speaker and you don't see him. I'm sweating. But anyhow, we've got Mike here. Mike, over to you, please.
Yep. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for the opportunity to have this conversation today, answer some questions that I know that Kuba has already put through. First off, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mike Forrester. I'm the regional lead for Europe from an MQA perspective within IMT ExxonMobil. I'll kick off by first saying that you were probably most aware that there's been an article within the media over the last few weeks about particular changes to IMT and MQA Sea River activities. This article had a number of inaccuracies in it. And whilst, as a matter of practice, ExxonMobil don't comment on speculation about business plans, I do want to communicate the following to you. There is no change to current MQA requirements of IMT and Sea River. And as such, the Maritime Global Services MQA activities will follow the same safety, risk mitigation and quality standards performed by IMT and Sea River. IMT and Sea River will continue to maintain overall ownership of MQA risk management systems through a retained team of SMEs within our group, which we are currently spread across the usual regions that you have been used to historically, so Singapore, UK and Houston. There'll also be no changes to the primary contact email addresses, and requesters should follow the same current communication processes. So if you're reaching out to us in relation to an incident, then you would still reach out to the shared mailbox of the incident desk. Similarly, for screening or security issues or term charter issues or barging for whatever reason. So those activities are still very much the same. But just to give you a little bit more detail, Sea River Maritime, who are essentially IMT, Sea River, IMTS, has entered into a contractual agreement with Maritime Global Services, or MGS as we kind of refer to them. And then under the terms of the contract, MGS will conduct various services on behalf of Sea River and IMT related to marine quality assurance activities. And as I said, IMT and Sea River will continue to maintain overall ownership of the MQA risk management systems through a retained team, myself being one of those. Maritime Global Services is a company established to exclusively provide marine quality assurance services to ExxonMobil affiliate companies. Maritime Global Services is an independent third party and is not an ExxonMobil affiliate. MGS will be exclusively providing a wide range of MQA services activities on behalf of Sea River and IMT. As such, MGS MQA activities will follow the same, as mentioned, the same safety, risk mitigation and quality standards currently performed by IMT. IMT and Sea River remain committed to the sustainment of risk mitigation, risk management principles that deliver marine excellence through a team of marine experts, IMT, Sea River, and we will work closely with MGS to ensure that our performance and contractual expectations are met by the MGS. Now, I know that Kuba had sent a number of questions through, so I think what we agreed is that Kuba would ask the question and then I would try and provide some sort of level of response and answer to that. I did read and review the questions beforehand, and there are a number that are very much aligned and have very similar responses. So Kuba, if I can hand over to you, if you can maybe just start at the questions and then we'll just go through them. And then I'll try and answer anything at the end if I can.
Excellent, Mike. Thank you. Thank you for this introduction. And as you say, indeed, we were alerted maybe not necessarily alarmed, but alerted to this change through the media. Not always the best way when you, and especially when you say that media may interpret it wrongly. So I wouldn't be surprised that some of the questions we are asking, our members are asking, are making assumptions. And please forgive us those assumptions, but if we do not have a full picture, although I'm pretty sure all of us are seafarers and we do remember Colrec 7C, which says do not jump into conclusions on the scanty information. So now I am basically tuning our radars and having Mike here with us so we can really tune and speak and know what is going on. And obviously I've got 13 questions which you guys, our members, kindly sent to Mike has seen these questions, but we still go ahead and answer them publicly. And if there are any other, then obviously please put your hand up. And remember, let's not make statements here, okay? So no statements today, just questions. And if the questions can be short, so Michael can shortly answer them, it would be highly appreciated. But first of all, 13 questions, I'm firing the first one. What type of barriers and controls are in place to prevent any abuse of privilege or malpractice?
So answer first one to this, and then again, what you might find is that my response will provide answers to some of the other additional questions that we'll go through also. But to ensure independence and confidentiality of vessel and operator information and prevent access to such information by Northern Marine, because ultimately, this is where the crux of the potential conflict of interests may raise the questions. MGS have been established as a separate and physically independent company. Additionally, as its employees are not part of the Northern Marine vessel operations activity, MGS staff are required to sign a non-disclosure agreement to ensure that the highest levels of information, confidentiality and integrity are maintained. And again, as mentioned earlier, as a matter of practice, ExxonMobil don't comment on speculation about business plans, but we have conducted a very robust and very thorough MOC over a period of time to ensure that all these activities are actually included and covered.
Thank you. Therefore, question number 2, I will read it, but I think you already answered. So the question number 2 was, if a vessel managed by Northern Marine Management Limited has a clearance issue or an open incident and is being rejected for ExxonMobil business, will the Northern Marine Management Superintendent, Fleet Manager or Vetting Manager be able to walk across the corridor to MGS and plead their case on the clearance issue or request for the open incident to be prioritized to the top of the queue for review and closed out? Would you like to add additional comments to that, Mike?
So I could say see answer above in relation to question 1, but the short answer to that is no, they can't do that. As mentioned, it's a ring-fenced, completely physically independent company. The employees of MGS are not Northern Marine employees, and Northern Marine employees and MGS employees do not have access, physical access into each other's offices. So again, going back to the point that I made mention about the highest levels of information confidentiality and integrity are maintained. Northern Marine vessels, Northern Marine operations will be stewarded in the exact same way as it would be with any other operator and any other vessel. There is no bias and there's no favoritism.
Okay, thank you. Number 3. If various competing technical managers have tendered for same new business opportunity and MGS become aware of a serious incident that would affect the prospects of one of those competing managers, how do we know that this information would not be transferred to Northern Marine Management and used to their advantage? For example, information transferred innocently to, say, outdoor smoking shelter or overhead in the cafeteria or something.
Again, I refer back to the previous answers where MGS staff are required to sign a non-disclosure agreement to ensure that the the information confidentiality and integrity are maintained at all times. And again, the same point above is that any vessel, any operator will be treated on an equal standing, irrespective of the issues that lay ahead.
Okay, thank you. Number 4, how would they resolve the conflict of interest with an affiliate of a ship manager vetting their competitors? I'm not sure who is they here, perfectly honest. I think they might be MGS or they might be Exxon.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the way that I read that question was, again, similar answer. And I don't want to appear to be a broken record, but the responses are very similar, where again, the staff are required to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and again, maintain that information confidentiality and integrity at all levels. So they will always be impartial to any of the discussions and any decisions that are made.
Okay, and just some notes from me. These questions did not come from one company. As you can see, these questions came from hundreds.
That's fine.
I had to condense them, I did. But on the other hand, I wanted everybody to see their questions then they were asked. And I think what we are getting out of it is, then you can see that it's not just one company which was really concerned about this integrity issue and so on and so forth. Now, therefore, question number 5, I will read, but I would not ask you to answer. How will MGS independency be assured? I think you are right. You are a broken record on that now. We said that, and I'm sure everybody heard that. Now, 6, how could we expect to have the same consistency in vetting decision processes that we were used to with IMT? Over to you.
So again, to go over a point that I raised earlier, but maybe just to emphasize it and clarify a little bit more. There is no change to current MQA requirements of IMT. This process is still based on IMT Sea River MQA vetting criteria. It's still based on our processes. It's still based on our procedures. It's still based on our internal vetting tool. So whether it's IMT from 1 month ago or the new organization in 1 month's time, the process is exactly the same. There is no change on how we conduct MQA activities.
And I remember having discussion about this point when we were having our internal gathering for the questions. And I think to understand that better for all of us, the question here is, we used to have a very good relationship, each and every member with you guys, with the team. Now there is a fear, then there is a third party which would like to do the best job in the world, which means they will become more stringent. They don't want, there is assumption that the third party doesn't want to be seen as a gateway, as opening, as lenient. Therefore, people, our members are fearing that it will become much more difficult to have a discussion, at least at the very beginning. Also, if you are running the show for yourself, you know your boundaries. When you are doing it on behalf of somebody, and we are third-party managers, so we know something how to be a third-party organizer and manager, and we know how tough the principles can be, you don't want to upset principles. Therefore, there is this very difficult to write into the procedures part of life where we do know each other, where we do work together, and we are now concerned that we are losing this relationship with Exxon by introducing somebody in between. I don't know how you are going to answer that, to be perfectly honest, and I'm sorry to throw the curve one on you, but maybe you guys did a risk assessment, and this has been discussed among Exxon team as well, and you have actually answers to questions like that. Over to you.
Yes, so to answer that one, the MOC that's been conducted as part of this change to our processes has been extremely thorough and detailed, and you'll have to forgive me for not being able to go into details of it clearly because that's an internal MOC process. But the training that the MGS personnel that are new to the MQA activities have gone through an extremely extensive and intensive training program. They're being mentored and monitored by IMT personnel as we go through the transition. And as we changed in this transition also, there are a number of ex-IMT personnel that will be or have been employed by MGS. So there is continuity across the processes. So I'm not going to lie and say there may not be teething problems. Of course, there's going to be teething problems for every change that you go through. But we have been robust enough and identified these areas as potential items that would create concern, and therefore we've captured that and covered that within our internal processes. So we will maintain consistency, we will maintain continuity with vetting decisions and processes. And as mentioned, the relevant contact points will remain the same through the shared mailboxes. It's just that you may see a different name at the end of an email that responds to that.
Thank you, Mike. Therefore, question 7 is probably answered already. I'll read it now. IMT had done much to improve the incident handling response timeline. Will this be maintained? I believe you just said then we will not see the difference. Could you confirm that? Then this is indeed the case?
Yes, as mentioned, as we transition through here, there is inevitably going to be teething problems, but the timelines and the responses and the due diligence that the incident desk, because this question is specific to incident desk, will still be the same as what you've had previously. So the turnaround response times should be similar to what you've experienced previously.
Very good, thank you. Question 8, what happens to past records and owner history post-change?
So again, because there is no change to our MQA requirements, and there's no change to our criteria, our vetting tool, our processes and our procedures, the historical information that we've had for those years that make up our MQA database will be maintained. So there is no change to that. So what shipping company A did 5 years ago will still be maintained in our database because that's still part of our internal processes. So again, no change. Excellent,
thank you. I think you've already answered question 9, which I'll read now. Will MGS personnel be undergoing a MOC induction process with the IMT personnel? You already said these guys went through extensive one. Any further comment, or shall I read the next one?
No, that's very much the same answer to that. The one point I would say from our perspective is that they've been through the extensive MOC training program, and that's been in place and will continue to do so during this transition phase. For us, this is still very much business as usual, as you can tell from the previous responses on no change to our processes, our criteria, our procedures.
Excellent, thank you. Question 10, again, I think you've answered that. Will the MECQAC requirements be mirrored by MGS?
So to answer that question, mirrored, no, because mirrored means it's a different procedure. The MESQUAC requirements are still our requirements. They're still IMT ExxonMobil Sea River requirements. The MGS will be managing that on our behalf through that third party. So it's still very much our MESQUAC requirements.
Okay.
So again, in short, no change to the current practices.
Now, very specific question, 11. If 2 vessels are put forward for screening and one is Northern Marine vessel, what assurance and controls in place are probably to prevent the obvious opportunity for bias? I think I've got an answer. You already answered that. I'll give you a chance to maybe add something to it.
So again, same answer as before. The non-disclosure agreement, it's a completely ring-fenced organization with no ties to the Northern Marine Group. So they'll be reviewed and compared on a case-by-case basis. And although we have measures internally within our vetting tool that provides additional checkpoints on Northern Marine vessels, which I can't and won't go into detail because it's proprietary information. There is no bias associated with any of the activities.
Excellent, thank you. 12. Under the current model, understand that Maritime Global Services will provide options for remaining Exxon people to make final decision, a bit like what RightShip does for BHP, for example, on a dry side. Is this correct? Is this how the work will work?
So again, just referring back to that last answer as well, but in addition, and as mentioned, MGS will be exclusively providing that wide range of MQA service activities on behalf of IMT Sea River. And as such, MGS MQA activities will follow the same safety risk mitigation that we've already mentioned and quality standards currently performed by IMT. And as mentioned, IMT will still continue to have ownership of the MQA risk management systems through the retained team. And as mentioned, we have measures within our vetting tool that make sure that the items are captured as required.
Okie dokie, thank you. Last question, although I'm surprised I don't see another one, which I'll reserve for myself to ask at the end. TMSA audits, continuity or any changes expected?
No, TMSA reviews will not be conducted by essentially anyone other than IMT and the MGS. So our TMSA requirements will still be maintained. As mentioned previously, it's still our processes, it's still our criteria, it's still our procedures, and that includes TMSA reviews. So a TMSA review that was done on an operator 6 months ago will be the same process that we follow in 6 months' time.
Thank you, Mike. And I think there was a question.
Sorry, I was just going to add, Cuba, just to add to that, IMT and MGS will be conducting these reviews combined in conjunction, as MGS personnel who have not already been included or involved in IMT TMSAs will get up to speed with our requirements.
So does that mean then long term there will be a phase out situation when you will pass this on to MGS after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years?
That we can't talk about or mention just now because we haven't done anything yet. We're just into the transition phase at the moment. The intent is that there'll be combined TMSA audits. Any future decisions of what happens and who conducts those will need to be taken based on determining factors at the time based on technical information.
Okay, thank you. And the question which doesn't seem to be here is there an appeal process? Should somebody have a serious problem with MGS decision making and so on? I understand we still can call you guys and have a chat with you. Are you prepared to be acting as a juror on some of the decisions, or you will be saying, sorry guys, no, we are not going to get involved in that kind of discussions?
I have to be clear here that there's no them and us. IMT, MGS are one team. They are stewarding our MQA requirements and our MQA processes. So if a decision has been made based on our requirements that's been communicated by MGS, then that's essentially you're receiving an IMT ExxonMobil Sea River response, not an MGS response. We are one team, and they're just conducting our MQA activities on our behalf. But if there's a requirement, then there is a retained team previously mentioned, and there are regional points of contact, myself being one for Europe. If you at any point, then you can do, and then we can review internally. But we are one team, so the response that you would get from MGS would be the same response you would get from IMT.
Mike, thank you very much. That's end of grilling from me. Now I'm opening the floor and waiting for the questions. Should there be any issues which we haven't covered yet, please? Okay, nothing, Mike. Wow, we must have prepared very good meeting. Oh no, here we go. Stephen, please. But you are muted, Stephen, so unmute yourself first and then.
Thank you. Beg your pardon. And I'm listening in on this primarily to do all the COVID and vaccine requirements of InterManager and that type of thing. But it did just cross my mind, having been in this business for a long time, and it's a curious question. Is Maritime Global Services permitted to take on other majors, such as Chevron, and undertake the vetting for them going forward? Or is it purely an exclusive arrangement?
MGS have been set up primarily for a ring-fenced organization to provide MQA activities to ExxonMobil and IMT and Sea River. So that's what we have. That's our arrangement with MGS.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mike, I think we didn't need to fear, as you can tell. Either we did a very good preparation for this meeting, or I don't know. Very good, Mike. Thank you. Thank you very, very much for that. It would be probably one of the fastest meetings we ever had, because usually it is 59 minutes and then the guillotine comes down. I'm on 37 minutes and I will just go and do the summary of everything. So, Michael, as far as you are concerned, thank you. Really appreciate it. And I appreciate the fact that you were very, very responsive. Basically, I think you walked the talk. As soon as I got in touch with you, Exxon was very quick. And as you can see, we established the date. I didn't want to change the date, therefore we had meetings. It was supposed to be 2 weeks meetings. We had a meeting last weekend and last Wednesday. We got it today as well. That's the reason, because I wanted to keep to the date we agreed with Mike. And thank you. Any final word from you, Michael? Would you like to do for our members?
Just a couple of things. Thank you, Kuba, for that. Just a couple of things I just want to leave you with. I realise that a lot of the questions that have been raised that we've had discussions with have been based on a kind of higher level conflict of interest. If there's any specific questions that a specific operator has, then feel free to reach out. It's maybe not for this forum, but if there's a specific question that a specific operator has, then they can reach out to us at any point. And I hope that the answers that I've given today of the questions or queries or any of the concerns that you've had have gone to alleviate any of those remaining questions that you had in your mind. But if there's one thing I want you to take away from today's meeting, and I want to re-emphasize this, is that there is no change to our MQA requirements. There's still IMT Sea River requirements. There's still our criteria. It's still our processes. It's still our procedures. And therefore, it's very simple for us. And I like using the phrase, I've used it a few times now, is that for us, it's business as usual. But it's just performed under a slightly different organizational structure. Business as usual for me is the key takeaway here. There is a change, yes, but for us, it's business as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And obviously, we are making sure that it is business as usual for our members as well. So lovely. Thank you. Now, moving away from this point of agenda, getting into the summary. We've got another meeting in 2 weeks' time. Our guest speaker will be ShipServe. No doubt you know the company, and what they will be talking about is procurement. We've got a plan now, and I'm delighted to tell you that for next probably 2.5, maybe 3 months. So associate members responded nicely to our plea to actually step forward. I am always open for suggestions and comments. Today's meeting is one of the examples where members were concerned, members wanted answers. If you've got any issue, any kind of issue, then please put this forward. I hope you can see that InterManager is extremely quick and responsive. And because of our partners and good relationships with anybody, we are able to take those questions on our chin and then pass them on, but also make people aware that there are other organizations helping and working together. because I think it is extremely important in COVID times, especially to understand that ICS, Intertanko, Intercargo, BIMCO, and so on and so forth, we are really, really working together on those things. There is absolutely no competition among ourselves. If anything, it's competition how to quickest respond and the best quality responses. And I'm sure you've seen this before, because we had Natalie on the calls, we had Philip, and so on and so forth. So working together, guys. And we need to remember that many of our members are members of other associations as well. So you keep a check on me. I know that. Okay, I'm pausing for a second, looking for the hands. If there is anything you want me to take as a homework and prepare for the next meetings, then please either raise it now or drop me a line. This will be available to our members as usual, because it has been recorded. And if there is nothing else, then I will call it the fastest record-breaking 60-minute meetings, which InterManager delivered in 42 minutes. Hold on a second. I see something in conversation. Philip, sorry, jumping off another call. Very good. Okay. That's it, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'll see you in 2 weeks. And thank you for those of you who are on holiday and broke holiday for 42 minutes to devote it for the InterManager. I really like that. Thank you. All the best. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kuba.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.